Hi, this is Mike, MPI Exhaust Technologies, and we're going to do a clamp-on kit for you guys. This is 2019 through 2024 5.3 liter Chevy pickup, half-ton four-wheel drives. We've already taken off the factory system. The only thing we're reusing besides the factory hangers on the right-hand side is we're going to reuse the factory band clamp to mount your pulse chamber. It's mounted on the system. It has a little tab in it. You just pop the tab and it comes right off. The next step, I take an anti-seize my bulb flare. The reason we want to do that, when we suck our pulse chamber up to it, it has a nice seating surface. We don't have any rust or debris in there in order to hinder the way that it mounts. So I'm going to just pop this on back where it was factory. We're going to take our pulse chamber, slide it up in position. Once we've mounted it back over the ball so it has good surface, after I get it level straight in the chassis, because I want my head pipes to run parallel with the chassis and the drive line, I want to make sure it's nice and level with the frame rail so everything seats up like it should. It's a 13 millimeter, half inch. I'm going to re-snug the factory clamp. If you should damage it, they do make replacements for it. On our weld-on kits for these trucks, you can just simply sawzall off the bulb flare, slide it over, and weld your pulse chamber on. Then you don't have to mess with that clamp. But for this one, we're doing the clamp-on system right now. So we reuse the factory GM clamp on the bulb flare. Next thing we're going to do, hanger number 58, is for the intermediate pipes. I'm going to put a little WD-40 on it, nothing spectacular. I'm going to slide it up into the factory mount. I'm going to grab my head pipes. And I've already slipped a couple clamps on my head pipes, right? So we're just going to simply slip our head pipe onto our pulse chamber and slide it on so it deadheads itself all the way to the bottom. I'm going to turn our clamp. Our tubing's notched on each side so it gives a good squeeze on the clamp. But on this, I want to make sure I can clamp it easy, and it points right at the cross member. So I'm going to turn it slightly sideways and just snug it up. I'm going to put the saddle all the way up to the edge of the pipe so we get a good sealing surface and a good clamp. I'm just going to lightly snug that. Next, I'm going to take my saddle and nuts and put it on my hanger, number 58. All it's in the instructions. And I'm going to just lightly snug everything. The position on the hanger is adjustable. You can slide it up and down the pipe, but the rubber mount from the factory is pretty much stationary on the chassis. It has 2 mounting points, so it's not going to swivel. Next thing I'm going to do is uninstall my other head pipe. I already slipped some clamps on it for us. I'm going to slide it on. And I'm going to deadhead it too, all the way to the bottom. If you notice on our head pipes, I have the offset down. We had to lower the mufflers a little bit in the chassis in order to catch all the hangers properly. I've already got my 2 clamps slid on the pipe. Next thing I'm going to do is put on our muffler pack. All of our exhaust kits come from maximum wheelbase truck. In other words, what does that mean? Well, the head pipes are going to be over length. This one I've already trimmed back to the wheelbase, because that way you don't have to know which wheelbase your truck is and the variations. We measure from the rear end housing, the actual tube, to the head pipes, and we cut them. So this one is 33.5 inches. If you pull a tape straight across, it's 33.5 inches. The excess pipe that sticks out after you mark it, cut it off. As long as you have that 33.5 inch from the axle tube to the head pipes, your location is correct. Next step, I was going to put on our muffler pack. Our muffler pack comes pre-welded together so you don't have any muss or fuss there. Gives you nice tight installation. Our slots are in the mufflers already. Our clamps are already up on the head pipes. Once I slid them up to my approximate mark, I'm going to put a band underneath to support the weight of them. The pipes can't swing. And then we can slide our clamps back over our nipples of our muffler. And now I'm going to verify my length. Again, from the rear end housing to the case of the muffler. We're not going to the nipple, we're going to the case of the muffler. This is 19.5 inches. And we're right there on the money. Next thing we're going to do is install hanger number 59. This hanger supports the muffler on the right hand side. It simply just snaps up in the rubber hanger. And I'm going to start my 2 nuts on there. And I'm going to slide it up, just put it on the case of my muffler. The other hanger on the other side is hanger number 60. I'm going to lube it a little bit. Start my saddle on it. Okay, now I'm going to pop this in the factory hanger for the left-hand tailpipe. I tighten up our inlet muffler clamps. I'm going to slide it all the way up to the edge of the case. Both my hangers, just got them on there finger tight. Our factory hanger number 61. So I'm going to lube it up a little. Pop it in position. I took the saddle off because we've got to slip our tailpipe right up inside. Whether your kit is a behind tire or under bumper, all the hangers are the same. I put a 2-inch mark on it because I want to know how far it goes in the case. So we're going to simply slip it up in position. And I'm going to slide it in my muffler to my black mark. Once I've got that up in position, I'm going to install my saddle. On your rubber hanger, factory has 2 mounting points. One's off the chassis and one's in the hanger. We want to make sure they're running parallel, straight up and down, because load force pulls straight up and down. If you get them angled, it's not a true load, it's going to walk on you. Anytime you're reusing the factory hangers, you want to make sure the load force is straight up and down and your clamps are in the right position for your hangers. Now that I've got it positioned where I kind of want it, so I'm going to stand up on the side, make sure it runs nice and parallel with the bottom of the tire, make sure I have plenty of clearance for my tip installation. I like it right there. Hanger. I'm going to put my band clamp on. I've got it on. I'm going to slip it onto my tailpipe. And I want to make sure I'm going to end up where I want. Typically, you don't want to run it past the out of the bumper in case you ever back up into the snowdrift or grandma's flower garden. And I'm going to look from the side and make sure we're nice and parallel where I want to be. And we have a nice air gap of fat fingers between the bottom of the bumper and the top of the tip. Hey, I index my clamp to the inside of my truck. I don't want to see it when I'm on the outside. Up to this point, we've been using 9/16 socket for everything, but the tips are 15 millimeter. So I'm going to simply just snug my tip on. I got the drain hole perfectly on the bottom, so the imprint on the top reads well. You can verify the length of your tip. I'm 2 3/4 inches. I'm inside the rear bumper about 1 inch. Hey, our behind tire, it comes out behind the tire, points out here. I use a little bullet level when I'm installing my tailpipes. I make sure they're level with the bullet level. The height will be set by the number 61 hanger, but we want to get this nice and level. And when we slip on our tip, it'll be level also. The other thing you got to be careful of when you're putting tips on is how far out. And typically, I keep a tip on the inside of the outside face of the tire. And this is the axle pipe. I'm going to put the little reference mark on it again, 2 inches or so in. And as I swing my axle pipe over, I want to make sure I don't get caught in any of the wiring harness from the factory. After I slip it in, I want to make sure I have a good finger gap over the top between my axle pipe and the bed of my pickup. I'm also going to check the reference between the bump stop and the suspension and make sure I have more than 4 fingers between the top, the rear end housing, and the axle pipe. There is a little wiring harness up there. If you prefer, you can reroute it. But I have good gap. This hanger, GM does not have a hanger on the left rear. So this is hanger number 62. In your kit, this is a pre-welded assembly. This is the grommet. It does not matter which way the grommet goes on. You can flip it on the hanger any different direction. But to make life easier, I have to drill a hole in the chassis and use a self-tapper, which we provide for you in the kit. I'm going to use approximate. I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and see where the hanger is about 2.5, 3 inches ahead of this rear hole. So I just simply came over here on this side, move forward 2.5, 3 inches on the hole, drill the hole. I have my self-tapper in my pre-drilled hole. I put my grommet on my hanger. I'm going to simply just run it up here, get it in close to where I think I want it. I think I want it about there. After I got my finger tight clamp up on my axle pipe, I'm going to put it in on my joint. And because I'm going to use this, I'm going to install my saddle next. And I'm going to just finger tighten all this until I get my tailpipe to match side A precisely. This is where we're going to line everything up. I want to make sure my tailpipes are parallel with each other across the bottom of the spare tire. We're installing our last chrome tip. I still got everything kind of loose up front because I want to make sure everything's in place. Before I tightened it, the height of your axle pipe will change the outlet a lot on the left-hand tailpipe. Since I've already got side A located, I'm going to just measure off the trailer hitch, and we're 15 1/8. I'm going to come over to side B, and we are 15 1/8. Now I want to measure my length. I'm going to go off the back of the bumper, and we're 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. I like it. Now I'm going to snug everything up. But if you adjust that axle pipe, you can spin it and it'll bring the tailpipe up or down. You can spin it inboard and outboard on that axle pipe. There's tons of adjustment. If you want to get it down to the 16th, the 8th, 16th, the micrometer, you can adjust it. Once you got all that, we're going to go through and tighten everything up. If you notice the 2 slots in the pipe, I turned it, orientated so the clamp pulls directly on the slot. We're just going to tighten them up, and you've got it installed. For you guys that take a 1/2 ton pickup and load it like a 1 ton dually, you want to verify your clearances. The clearance between the bump stop and the top of the rear end housings, 4 fingers tight. If we go up here between the wiring harness and the axle pipe, we got to loose 4 fingers, making sure we have enough clearance. And we have a fat fingers width between the axle pipe and the bed of the truck. We don't want any vibrations. This same hanger also indexes it and turns it behind tire. Helps setting the links. You can adjust it a little bit by swinging it up or down. Whether you buy our weld-on kit or a clamp-on kit, we always start where the factory ends at a single. You can use a factory GM clamp on, or you can weld it on in the weld-on kit. Once it's gone through the pulse chamber, we go to dual exhaust. All of our clamp-on kits have numbered hangers in them, whether it's an 07 or a 17E or whatever. It's numbered and illustrated on the instructions for you where each hanger goes. Once we go into dual exhaust, we don't care which mufflers you use. Whether you use Performance Series, Turbo Series, they're always a welded muffler pack. For easy installation for you, as you come back through the system, we use all the factory hangers in our kits. So it locates the exhaust system for you, and they are all numbered again. All the way back to the right-hand tailpipe, factory exhaust hanger. We have plenty of rear end clearance, mandrel bent, clearance on the bed, clearance on your... As we come around to this side, We have 2-piece on this tailpipe, so you have plenty of adjustment. The only hanger we add on is this 07 hanger over here in the left rear corner. Drill 1 hole, use our self tapper that's provided for you in the kit. Straight out the back or behind tire, all of the hangers work the same. We don't weld our hangers to the systems for 2 reasons. Adjustability, and there's not very many trucks out there that have the same ride height. The quarter panels can vary. This side is 16 3/4. We'll go over to the same corner on this side, and we barely 16 1/8. You're talking over 5/8 of a difference in ride heights in this truck. Whether it's tire pressure, tire size, I don't know. Bubba that day at GM stamped the body wrong, hung it wrong. There is always, in my 30+ years, there is always a difference in the quarter panel height. So this is Mike, MPI Exhaust Technologies. We build kits, ship them directly to you for gas mileage, performance, and no in-cab resonation.